Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is your friend, your mentor, Dharam Singh. And today I am with Christopher Becker. He is a very experienced and learned person, and his recent PMOCP success and a few other successes. He got PgMP and few other. So I thought he's the right person to bring this topic to you. Chris, welcome here. How are you going?
Thank you, Dharam. Glad to be here. Looking forward to our conversations.
So today, Chris Becker, he's going to share his experience and knowledge, and his industry knowledge. All right, let's start with myself. If you don't know me, my name is Dharam Singh, and I have been teaching PgMPs, PfMPs, PMOCPs, PMPs, and many other certificates. But yes, currently 620 PgMPs and 250 or 16 PfMPs. And PMOCP now, including you, Chris, I have 11 PMOCPs.
Awesome.
It's a low number, but it's increasing and more to come. I'm excited. And actually, I started the PMOC program, first program I did for PMI as a pilot program last year, and July last year. And since then, I've conducted more than 10 sessions. And actually, I'm starting one program on Monday for 2 days program. It's our friend, Chris. And he owns his company, CSP Consulting Group. And recently he joined a payment company, which he can talk about. He completed it recently, 4th June 2026. Actually, I have 4th on you, 5th and 6th. I have 2 other. 3 days, I got 3 PMOCPs.
Nice.
Yeah, let's Chris to talk about himself. Chris, over to you.
Thank you, Dharam, and thanks for the introduction. So guys, we all know that the knowledge that Dharam carries, and I appreciate his friendship and his mentorship. He truly inspired me as I was going through my journey into the PgMP as well as the PMOCP. And yet Dharam's right, I just got my certification in June of this year, but I've been working in the PMO capacity, PMO world for around 20 years or so, from scaling PMOs to starting build out fresh on the PMOs, and then also scaling and maturing the PMOs from mostly in the healthcare world as it relates to healthcare IT, healthcare imaging, that type of space. Recently moving into fintech, which I'm excited about. It's completely different, but gives me a different perspective on what these different organizations are looking for. So yeah, about 20 years, been on the PMO journey for a long time, working again with some large organizations like IBM and Philips and Siemens and General Electric. I recently started my own consulting company a couple years ago, where I've tried to specialize and help people understand really the advantages of having a PMO, and as well as the disadvantages if the PMO is not set up right, is not run right, and then truly it goes stagnant and there's no maturity. And that's generally what happens with most of them. If you don't have a true leader in that role continuously to evolve and improve that PMO. So yeah, a lot of passion around the PMO and what it can do for an organization.
Yeah, and the more I'm going through the PMOCP teaching and learning, I'm realizing that there's a lot of immaturity in the PMO space. A lot of people come with very basic knowledge and they may be the PMO head, but they still don't understand the full scope of PMO.
100%.
The way PMO can be structured in an organization can be game changer, can be a strategic partner, can be value add. It's not just another note keeper, somebody minute takers or sharing the PowerPoints or this or that. It's actually a very, very powerful role. And if this set up properly, an organization will benefit out of this.
100%, yes.
With all this learning I'm getting, you learn once with me, but I'm teaching every time. And I'm realizing that this is to offer services to the organization as a PMO as a service. So I'm trying to build a pool of my students with the PMO knowledge and in the certification to be part of my extended family group who can be one of the consultants reaching out, going out to do some assessments and evaluation and maturing the PMO with the help of some right platform tools, and we can improve the bottom lines of most of the organization.
100%. Because, I mean, a lot of people look at PMO as just an administrative function or just a another group that's sitting over there getting a paycheck, when in a lot of situations that is the truth, because they don't have that base and that buildup of that PMO and the organization and the maturity. So that does happen in a lot of organizations. And unfortunately, kind of the PMO world has gotten that name that we're just an administrative function, and that's all we do, right?
I'm very excited about this journey, the PMO-PMOCP, because I see it's a great future for the people who already have experience as a project manager, program management, portfolio management. Now learning some extra knowledge can only make them better professional and better PMO support structure for the organization. All right, so I'd like to again welcome everybody here and remind that we do have an option of chat and Q&A. You can put your questions, write the question, and I will bring those questions to Chris when I feel it's right time. So feel free to write your questions. Yeah. So just a small announcement. You probably know, most people know that I already have an app, vCare PM Exam Mentor and Exam Simulator. So very soon we are launching a very refined version of the app, and with all the questions, the PMP, PgMP, PfMP, you name it, we have it. All kind of questions and domain and task, videos, everything. Yeah, maybe a little more wait, maybe a couple more weeks before I can officially launch it.
So I'll give a shameless plug, Dharam, and guys, he didn't ask me to do this, but I actually utilized the exam question simulator that Dharam has, and for me, game changer. It really makes you think a little bit deeper in those questions, because it's not just oh, boom, here's the answer. You really have to study it, understand the content as you read through those questions and the answers, because in every one of them, there's like two that are like really, really close. So you really got to know what you're talking about. And I like that with Dharam's exam simulators.
And just to let you, currently we have 3 sets of questions, 5, I think. And I'm bringing in the new version, it will be more than 1,000 questions. Oh, and wow. An option of regenerating as many questions that you want from those 1,000 questions, which is
nice.
Anyway, so we do have lots of questions, which I will bring and one by one. So I will jump to the questions, and you will get a video code, and appreciating your continuous support for this program. And I'm able to give you one video code for this joining. Anyone watching, if you're watching this recording, so once the program is finished, I will have the recording in a couple of days, a few days, you will receive an email from our team and with the video code and the recording as well. So you can, if you want to watch and you want to share with your friends, you can share that. But feel free to use the question pad and chat as many questions as we can. I will try to bring as many questions we like to cover as many as we can, but we do have time limitation. So, Chris, my first question to you. First of all, congratulations on earning your PMOCP certificate. By the way, there's 2 PMOCP certificates. One before PMI taking over. So, and now since PMI taking over, it's called PMI-PMOCP. It's more than 5,000 or 6,000 PMOCPs now. It's numbers are growing very fast.
Growing fast.
Yeah. What inspired you to pursue this certificate, Rinjan? And how it changed your perspective on the role of modern PMO?
So what inspired me to pursue my PMOCP certification was the opportunity to deepen my understanding and to become and know what a high-performing PMO looks like and how it creates strategic value. I wanted to learn so I could pass on the best practices for governance, portfolio management, and PMO maturity, so I could better support organizations and organizational success in any industry, because I felt like if I truly knew this to the depth and to the level that I was confident in my knowledge, then I could pass that on to everybody else. I'll be honest, the certification changed my perspective by showing that a modern PMO is more than just an administrative function. Today's PMOs are and should be strategic partners that align projects with your business goals, drive value realization, and support executive decision making. Because in the end, that's what it's about, is supporting those folks and helping organizations adapt to change and truly understand what digital transformation looks like, because that's the world and that's the business that we're in today. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I do believe AI is going to have an effect on what we do and how we do it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on. But I think you may be surprised at what I think about AI in the PMO world. And again, these are all just Chris's opinions.
Definitely, there's a lot of change coming with AI
Lots.
introduction to AI, and you can automate a lot of things. You can do better, provide better services, and better, we talk a lot of services like resource management, risk management, many other things you can do more seamlessly with the, of course, more advanced user support staff with you.
AI is in itself is just not automatic, right? I mean, it's got to be set up and it's got to be stuff fed into it, all those kinds of things. So for a while, I believe it's going to be a basic use around AI. But like for me personally, I'm not resting my hat on AI right now in the PMO world, because I just don't think you're going to take away that personal intervention, that one-on-one, that talking with the CEO or that C-suite. AI is not going to replace that. And as you build that relationship and those rapports, again, AI is not going to, you're not going to take that away. Again, maybe a little bit different take on AI than a lot of people.
So just to wrap it up, and AI is, you said, it's free up you all the time, and you can spend more time in your stakeholder engagement, relationship building,
yes,
building your team, and all those things. Which
correct.
Normally we struggle because of the too much work, too much pressure, too much reporting requirement, and so on.
Agree.
All right. So my next question is: many organizations have established PMO, but only few consistently deliver strategic value. So, in your opinion, what are the key characteristics that distinguish a high-performing PMO from the one that primarily provides administrative support?
A high-performing PMO generally aligns projects with the organization's strategic goals, and in most cases, they just focus on delivering measurable business value, right? It supports executive decision-making, prioritizes high-value initiatives, and in some cases, tracks outcomes using meaningful or some type of performance metric, some type of KPI, right? In contrast, which is what we generally see in administrative PMO, primarily manages documentation, reporting, and some type of homebred or made up compliance with some type of project standards that somebody built at some portion or at some time during the PMO build. Now, of course, these functions are important, and while they are important, I think a high performing PMO goes well beyond administration by helping the organization improve project success and also improve and achieve long-term strategic objectives. And some of the key characteristics that I actually called out in an article that I wrote, and these distinguish a high-performing PMO. Strategic alignment is a key, obviously. And as you go through and you learn more about and you're into the PMO and that certification, everything you talk about is strategic alignment with the organization. The PMO has to be aligned. Every project supports the organization's strategic goals, right? Every single one of them. It can't be one-offs. The PMO helps leadership provide initiatives based on business value rather than urgency or politics or who's screaming the loudest, right? Because that in a lot of PMOs and a lot of organizations, whichever key leader is screaming the loudest, his projects or programs generally move to the top of the list, right? That's not alignment. That's alignment with him. That's not alignment or strategic alignment with the organization, right? So are you supporting the organization's strategic goals, or are you supporting executive X's strategic goals, right? And strategic alignment, extremely important. Value realization, another key. Success is measured by business outcomes such as revenue, growth, customer sat, cost savings, operational improvements. It's not just about delivering a project on time and on budget. Portfolio governance. We don't talk about this a lot when we talk about PMOs. The PMO continuously evaluates what that project portfolio looks like, how it's analyzed, what portfolio, what program, what projects we're rolling out, and it has to continuously reallocate resources and change those resources as priorities change. I can't leave the same resources on this project when my priorities as an organization have changed or my strategic objectives have changed. I have to continuously roll those and move those around so we stay on top of what those objectives are. And recommend starting and stopping a project. Nobody wants to hear that, especially if I've got executive X that this is his baby. We've got to stop this project, or we've got to pause this project because we don't have sufficient resources, or the value and the strategic alignment is not there anymore. People don't understand a lot of times that because we didn't get to the end of that project, it's not over, right? It's not the end of the world. We have to stop that project because it's no longer a strategic objective. Continuous improvement, high-performing PMOs regularly assess lessons learned. They continuously improving processes, investing in your resources, investing training in your resources. And you have to not be afraid to adopt new tools. If it aligns with your continuous improvement plan, you have to be able to bring those things in, and you have to be able to roll that change out. Strong stakeholder engagement, probably one of my top priorities in every PMO that I'm affiliated with. The PMO collaborates daily with your executives, your business units, your project teams, and you have to ensure clear communication, strategic alignment, and overall organizational support. And it's actually organizational support on both sides, right? A lot of people think that the organization just has to support the PMO. Well, it has to be the other way around too, because in the end, we're the boots on the ground, we're doing the work. We have to believe in what that organization is doing and what they're trying to do. So for me, in closing on this one, in my opinion, the greatest difference is that a high-performing PMO focuses on creating business value rather than managing project administration. Administrative tasks like scheduling, documentation, reporting are important, but do they really support the larger purpose? And in most cases, no. It's an administrative function in the end, right? A strategic PMO helps leadership make better investment decisions because we're a trusted partner, right? And if you've got that rapport with that executive team, they're going to come to you and ask you, hey, what do you think about this? And in the end, ensures projects contribute directly, not indirectly. Make sure we understand that directly to the long-term success of the organization. And if you can keep some of those key things in mind as you're building your PMO and maturing your PMO, you will be successful.
The PMO is the backbone of your organization. If backbone is strong,
yes,
the organization will perform, and high performing, not only high performing PMO, but high performing organization. Because having right people, right structure, right tool, and the right mindset, support structure, everything is there. And people just do their job and their support is available. Because you know that there's safety net. We don't have anything, but we can go and talk to these guys, they are specialists. So
agree.
I think the idea is to have a high performing PMO, which is performing, supporting, doing the best. And the C level or director level, they look towards PMO, hey guys, we need your help.
And Dharam, I mean, I think a lot of times there's confusion between the PMO and the organization because the PMO and its resources don't truly understand what the organizational strategy is. Everybody at the top, they probably understand it, but I think as that trickles down, the people that are truly doing the work, that are running the projects, that are doing whatever, they have to understand that too, and they have to buy in, because if they don't, it's just another project to them, right?
Yeah, and that's where it's important to have right foundation PMO, and then you build on top of it. If you have
That's right.
wobbly PMO and things are already, people have doubts and suspicion whether they waste utilization of money or not. If we have situation, let's start from fresh and build it from ground up. And believe it or not, your organization will, or any organization will perform very
well. 100%.
Good. What do you think, Chris, about this?
No, I would say business value and capacity management, resource management, always the top two. I think probably in most scenarios that I've been engaged with, it is or ends up being capacity resource management, because most people don't understand the business value. They say, yeah, in my mind, do we have enough people to run the projects, enough resources to run the projects and run them effectively? And that's as far as it gets. But that's a true reflection of the maturity or lack thereof of your PMO in most cases. And again, if you're continuously analyzing and reanalyzing the maturity and what value you bring, you're going to make those adjustments from a capacity model, or you're going to try to, right? And it's not always about hiring people. It's reallocation, different tasks, different responsibilities. It's not always about putting more headcount in there, but generally speaking, I would say the capacity and resources, it's always never got enough people. And there's always what shouldn't be competing projects and resources, but it always is. So as a good PMO leader, you have to manage that and manage those expectations, which leads to that high performing and those results. So
I do have a question here, and if I advise a transition from finance and management consulting into the banking PMO, supporting enterprise IT transformation, and I'm targeting PMO lead, SAP PMO, and SAP change PMO roles. Would you recommend PMOCP as the next certification? How relevant are ProC and PfMP, and what IT PMO skills should I focus on staying competitive over next few years? What would you recommend? What do you recommend it roadmap looks like?
I'll tell you my roadmap, because I actually had a roadmap, believe it or not, and what I felt like was going to drive my career and where I thought I needed to be at. So quick story, before I was PMP certified, I know this is going to sound crazy, but like my customers and people would kind of talk to me like I didn't know what I was talking about, right? It was always like a question. Like I always felt like they didn't trust me, I guess. And I'd been doing project management for several years before I got my certification, but it was almost instantly, once I got that certification, it was like somebody put a golden halo on me or something. I mean, it's like everybody truly then believed, oh, he's PMP certified, he knows what he's talking about. And for me personally, career-wise, that led to many different opportunities as I progressed through my career. And it was the exact same scenario. Until I got my PgMP, people didn't really trust you. And not that the certifications carry all the weight, but I think they do carry weight, especially as you get up into your PfMP, PgMP, PMOCP. Those certifications are hard. And what I found out is, whereas on the PMP, I think you can learn the processes, learn your inputs and outputs and all those things, and you can pass it. With the PgMP, you better know what you're talking about. You better have some real world experience, and you better know how to figure out scenario-based questions, because that's what it is. To me, I thought out of all three of mine, the PgMP was the hardest one, because it truly challenges you to know really what's going on. So for me, my natural progression was the PMP, PgMP, PMOCP, and it's worked out really well for me, because from the PMO perspective now, whereas I've been doing PMO work for, like I said, 15, 20 years, it just brings some credibility to what you're talking about to the industry. I'm not sure what the person that asked the question, what your career goals are, but if you're aspiring to continue to move up and improve in your career, such ladder like that is just it's gonna help. It's gonna help the whole way.
And really, like, the certification is not just to the three-letter acronym, just to get, this is to you to learn the best practices. And when you learn, when you express by doing the great job, productivity improvement, and all those things, people do recognize it. People do appreciate your contribution to their work. The main thing I like about PMOCP is it's not only testing or checking your knowledge, but it also gives you tools and structure which can help you to assess your current PMO and improve your PMO, or if you don't have PMO, to set up your PMO.
Agree.
And that's where it is like giving you tools to be a consultant. You can go out and a company in the PMO survey where you go, you have a tool and some evaluation sheet or something, evaluate them. Of course, it takes time, interviewing and surveys and whatever, and then come up with your analysis, and you tell them, okay, guys, you're doing great in this area, but there are certain areas where you can improve drastically and where you see the immediate improvement. And this is the only certificate I see which gives you that capability to have the tool and build your own consultancy on that.
I felt when I went into this PMOCP certification that I don't know, I don't want to say it like, but I felt like I knew a lot, right? I actually learned a lot during my process of studying and learning that PMOCP process, because it's like Dharam said, they provide you with the tools from step one to build your PMO and to mature your PMO and to finalize your PMO and to continuously improve your PMO. And a lot of the tools that I learned in my journey with the PMOCP certification, I use today. I'm using them with a customer literally today and helping them build out a PMO. So for me, even as experienced as I thought I was, I learned a lot and a lot of stuff that I could carry on with me in my career and in my business.
And let me move to our next question.
Okay.
PMO maturity assessments are becoming increasingly important for organizations seeking to improve project delivery. Why should organizations assess the maturity of the PMO? And why? What are some of the most common gaps or opportunities for improvement that these assessments reveal?
So why should organizations assess the maturity of their PMO? I don't think you can do it too much, and it allows you to evaluate how effectively it supports business strategy, improves project delivery, and creates organizational value. I think a maturity assessment helps identify strengths, but it also helps you identify your weaknesses, right? And that allows your leaders to prioritize improvements, but in the end, and more importantly, make informed decisions, not just decisions, right? Because we do find ourselves, we just need a change, right? So that's an uninformed decision. So we need to make sure that we're giving them the correct information in an informed way so we can make those decisions that better the organization and the PMO. Inconsistent project management practices, right? Some of the basic stuff, just inconsistent. We all have to be on the same page and we have to run our projects. To me, doesn't matter where you're at, we run our projects the same, right? The practice may be a little different from industry to industry, but within that industry and within that organization, we need to make sure that we're doing the same thing day in and day out. Because when I go to gather data, if it's all over the place because we're doing something different, that makes for that informed decision process to be broken down. Weak governance is probably one of the biggest things that I see because we don't understand what governance really is and how to mandate governance and how to deploy governance, right? So because of the lack of knowledge or the lack of the ability to have a strong governance model in place, or somebody taking the time to build that model, governance is generally one of the ones that's an easy check mark. Yeah, we need to work on governance. We talked about resource management. That's never going to go away, and I don't think that's going to go away in any model or any PMO or any organization. It's just one of those things you deal with, right? But I think the key is to deal with it, right? I'm continuously shuffling, I'm continuously reorganizing, I'm continuously moving people around, resources around, priorities around. And if I can stay on top of that as a leader, I think the end result is going to be noticeable by everybody. Misalignment between projects and strategic goals. This is part of every answer I ever give because it's so common that those projects are not aligned with with what those strategic goals are. And in the end, you find yourself doing projects that end up getting stopped because somebody finally does an assessment and they're not aligned. You're wasting time, you're wasting resource, you're wasting money. So in the end, we've got to make sure that our projects truly align with our strategic goals. And I think addressing some of these key areas is going to help your PMO become more efficient, more consistent, and in that end result, which is value, you're going to be a value-driven PMO, which is one of those keys you're looking for so you can show the organization your importance.
Thank you very much. It's a great answer. Appreciate it. And I will take you to the next question. My next question is, once the PMO maturity assessment is completed, what practical steps should organizations take to transform the findings into realistic improvement roadmap that delivers measurable business value and aligns with organizations?
So we brought this consulting guy in, we brought his group in, we brought his team in. They did this maturity assessment and we're at X, right? Now what do we do, right? And that's the question. And I think from my experience in organizations, a lot of times it stops there, right? After that PMO maturity assessment, that's when you have to go to work, right? The organizations have to prioritize what those most important improvement areas are. What do they look like? And you're going to have to create a roadmap. You're going to have to define clear goals, right? You're going to have to do timelines, responsibilities. What KPIs are we looking for? How do we measure those KPIs? And these improvements, they should align with the organization's strategic objectives, right? Because in the end, that's what it's about. And what are those available resources, right? So organizations should always engage in key stakeholder engagement. You're going to have to implement these changes in phases, right? We can't just dump it all out there because it's that major change that everybody's scared of, right? And you're not going to be able to manage it anyway. So when I build that plan and I build that timeline, I've got these changes laid out in the phases where I'm seeing my quickest wins, right? But more importantly, guys, and to me, this is extremely important, I have to continuously and regularly monitor my progress, right? Because if it's not just like in your face visible of this progress, nobody's going to see it, right? So how are my stakeholders, how is my C-suite and my executives, how are they going to know, right? So I've got to measure that progress, but I've got to have those KPIs in place to measure that first. And if I've got good quality KPIs, I can easily show and demonstrate what this progress looks like and how we're benefiting the organization, how we're aligning with the strategic objectives. Again, reviewing these results, adjusting the roadmap over time, all those things are going to take place, right? Because I'm continuously and regularly monitoring what that progress looks like, right? So I can show and deliver a measurable business value, again, that's going to support that long-term organizational success.
After assessment, what do we do next? We have to apply some of the learning and pick the top priorities, pick where you see the big low-hanging fruits and get the things moving, show the results, and win the confidence and keep doing bigger and better things.
Because we're doing assessment because somebody's not satisfied, right? Somebody's not happy.
Yeah.
I promise you they're not happy. We're in this world now, we want that instant gratification, right? That's no different in an organization. And when you've got a CEO and CFO and CEO, all these people, this C-suite, their jobs are on the line to see that progress and to see those things change, right? They want to see it instantly. They don't want to wait a year. Oh, I got to wait a year before you can show me your worth. That's not going to work. So that's why I say, and when I go into an organization, my first thing is I'm looking for that low-hanging fruit. How can I show immediate success, immediate improvement, whatever those things are? So
exactly, immediate success and progress, and also long-term perspective.
Yeah, is this sustainable? Just because it's low-hanging fruit, is it sustainable? Can we continue along and can we continuously show improvement?
Yeah.
So important.
All right, let me get into my next question. PMO transformation often involves changes to process, governance, technology, and organizational culture, all of it. What are the biggest challenges organizations typically face during this journey? And what strategies have you found most effective in overcoming them?
So again, to me, that resistance to change, along with inconsistent processes, limited executive support, that's a big one, again, because you have that limited executive support because they don't believe in you, or they don't believe in what the PMO is doing. They believe you're just an administrative function and you're costing them money, right? So that limited executive support's a big one. Difficulty in aligning projects with business strategies. If I'm running the PMO and I'm the leader and we've got projects in there that are not aligning, we don't have those projects anymore. Somebody from way up is going to have to demand that we do those, and then we're going to have the discussions on why are we still doing these projects, because clearly they do not align with our business strategy and our strategic objectives. These issues alone can slow adoption and overall reduce the effectiveness of the PMO. Some of the most effective strategies I've seen, securing that strong executive sponsorship, right? Getting that buy-in from that C-suite, because in the end, guys, they can make you or break you, or they can disband you. I mean, it's that easy for them, right? So you have to have their buy-in, you have to have the support, and you have to build that rapport with them. Clear communication, communicating a clear vision of what this PMO is, what we're doing, and providing training for everybody. So we get confused with this one a little bit, and I've dealt with this a lot. So for me, I'm providing training for my team, which is within my PMO, but I'm providing training on the other side as well, because if they don't understand what we're doing, right, and it just makes my job harder, right? I mean, so I'm going to tell them and I'm going to let them know exactly what we're doing, what our process looks like, how it's going to affect you in your day-to-day, right? And when we do that, I think we build that rapport with them, and they're a little bit more open to the change that is coming. And don't feed them with the fire hose, right? We have to implement these changes in phases like we talked about a little bit earlier, because if we don't, too much change, it's going to scare them, it's too much work. So we have to make sure that I've got a clear timeline, a clearly laid out plan, and what these phases look like and what these changes look like to that team. And for me, we're going to talk about those changes a lot, because in the end, what I don't want is to have a change, you not know about it. Tracking progress with clear KPIs, focusing on continuous improvement, and that in itself is going to help build stakeholder support, and it's going to ensure the PMO delivers long-term business value. If you don't take anything else away from here, long-term business value, because if you can't show your worth, you're worth nothing, right? And that's the way they look at us. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Organizations need experienced PMO leadership, but they may not have the resources to build and maintain a mature PMO internally. How can a PMO as a service help organizations accelerate PMO maturity, improve governance, and deliver better business outcomes while remaining cost effective?
So PMO as a service, right? Some of you guys may be familiar with that term, same concept, but I think where we take this a little bit further, and what I like to define as PMO as a service is, I think it gives organizations access to experienced PMO leaders, proven processes. These processes are tweakable to align with your organization and your goals, and best practices without the cost of building a full internal PMO. It allows organizations to improve project management, project governance, and again, here we go, strategic alignment more quickly and more efficiently, because it's like we've been there, we've done it, we got the t-shirt, right? We know what's going on. So it allows us to move a little quicker, a little swifter, just based off of the experience and what we know. So PMO as a service, also cost effective, because organizations, we can scale services based on their needs while still gaining access to specialized expertise and tools, right? We can specialize those services based off of what you guys need as an organization. And I think this flexibility, I think it helps improve project delivery. It helps to strengthen decision-making, and in the end, deliver better business outcomes without, again, the expense of maintaining a permanent PMO team. We can build this from the ground up or mature it or whatever your organization needs, I think in a quicker fashion, just based off of experience and the tools that we have our hands on.
Yeah, so look, this is a great service with the expertise and experience of rolling out and doing some evaluation, understanding, and giving you feedback and setting up your PMO in a very short time. If you have access to this kind of services, you save a lot of money and a lot of very quick round up and up and running very, very soon. So utilize some of these services. And as I said, we are in the process of forming and building the PMO as a service, as another arm. And a lot of my students who come to learn to do the PMOCP, they show interest. Okay, look, Dharam, I have some time in between, I'm middle of jobs, and I have experience working this and that. And they join this group and they mention, and they go out and do provide services.
Okay.
If you are advising an organization that wants to significantly improve its project delivery capability over the next 12 months, what are the top 3 actions you would recommend they prioritize to build high-performing PM?
The questions get better and better, Dharam. So top 3, 12 months. Okay. First, I think is where everybody should start at, is we recommend conducting a PMO maturity assessment to, let's identify your strengths, let's identify your weaknesses, and more importantly, let's identify your priorities, right? Because without those 3, obviously, we don't know what's going on. And we need to do that assessment so we can figure out where we're at, where you're at, what we need to do, and be able to build that plan. Next, let's establish standardized project management practices. Let's get everybody on the same page, and let's build some governance if there's not any governance there, because I think we have to monitor everything that we're doing. We need to ensure that consistency and better alignment with the organization's strategic goals. Let's look at some leadership support. What does that look like? Staff training. Let's build some meaningful KPIs so we can measure performance and that business value, right? And I think altogether, these actions help create a PMO that's going to continuously improve project delivery. And then again, my go-to answer is going to support that long-term organizational success. So that's probably my top three that I would start with on any PMO. And then the 12-month thing, we would determine really what are you going to get in that 12 months. And I think asking those questions about your maturity and your strengths and your weakness and your priorities are going to determine exactly where we're going to be at in 12 months, right? Because what I'm not going to say is you're going to have a high-performing, high-mature PMO in 12 months, and you've not even opened the doors yet, right? So we're going to be realistic, but we're going to set goals. We're going to monitor those goals. We're going to track those goals. We're going to track our progress so we can continuously report that out, but also we can continuously improve.
Right. So that just brings me to the next question here. An interesting question. Let me ask the question. So looking ahead, how do you see the role of PMOs evolving over the next 5 years, particularly with the increasing adoption of AI, digital transformation, data-driven decision-making, and changing business expectations? What capabilities should PMO leader begin developing today to remain relevant and continue delivering strategic value?
Okay. Again, a great question. And this is the one I told you guys in the beginning that we would talk a little bit more about it, and here we are. So next 5 years, so all we hear today is AI, AI, AI. Whereas I think over the next 5 years, that's going to be relevant. I believe PMOs are going to shift from primarily managing projects like we do a lot today to become true strategic business partners. And I think as organizations adopt AI and it becomes more in the forefront, that's going to create automation, digital transformation, and it's going to allow your PMOs to spend less time on administrative tasks and more time using data to guide your decisions and your decision making, managing your portfolios, and again, ensuring your projects align with the business strategy. Success is going to be measured by business outcomes and value realizations rather than simply delivering projects on time and within budget. So AI, it's also going to change how PMOs operate by automating reporting. I think it's going to take away some of your forecasting risk. It's going to automate some of that. I think it's going to be able to help you in your resource allocation and how you govern that. And probably one of the bigger things that's going to take off your plate is going to be able to provide real-time insights and information that before you would have to dig for. Now you'll be able to press a button and you're going to have those real-time insights. It's going to allow PMO leaders to focus on strategic planning. You're going to be able to focus more on your stakeholder engagement that we've talked about a dozen times and how important that is. And as well as organizational change and what that looks like instead of just routine project administration. Organizations will increasingly expect PMOs to drive innovation, to improve agility, and support that digital transformation that we're talking about and those digital transformation initiatives. And I think that's going to be the norm, not the exception. I think that's going to change.
Definitely.
I would say probably in the next 2 to 3 years, not 5 years. I think it's going to be a quick, drastic change in what these leaders are expecting from the PMO to remain relevant. Guys, if you don't hear anything else I say today, I think this is probably one of the more important things that we talk about, because without being relevant, we don't have jobs. So PMO leaders not should, could, would, have to develop some skills in AI and data analytics, strategic portfolio management, change management, because there's going to be a lot of it, and business communication and business relevancy. I think you're going to also have to strengthen your ability to lead cross-functional teams. The days of having your little team and your little pod, I think I'm seeing it coming to an end. You're going to have PMs coming from different places. You're going to have different analysts, business analysts, all those types of people in those roles coming from different places. So I think within the PMO, you're going to see a lot more of a matrix type organization. You're going to have, here's a big one, be able to interpret data so an executive can use it and use it for decision making, right? We can feed all the data you want to. Executives don't want to see all the numbers. They want to see an end result. How does it benefit me? And what can I do with this data to be better, right? And how can I tell my boss, because we all have a boss, right? How can I tell my boss how I'm going to use this data and how it's going to help me? And then continuously adapt new technologies, whether it's software, whether it's resources, whether it's positions. I think PMOs that embrace these capabilities, I think in the end, you're going to be better positioned to deliver long-term strategic value and help organizations succeed in an increasingly digital business environment. I think that's where we're at today. And I think if you're in this business and you're not willing to transition, I think you're going to get left behind. It's tough for me. I think it's tough for all of us, and it's going to be tough. But I think if you want to remain relevant, you're going to have to implement and institute these changes, or you're going to get left behind.
Chris, I do have a couple of audience questions. Is there a relationship among trustworthiness, scale, and documentation?
I think the trustworthiness and documentation, I'm not sure how the scale fits in, but the trustworthiness and documentation, I think there's a true relationship there. And I think as we go through and we build out our PMOs and we build out how we want our PMOs to look, I think that relationship is going to become more relevant. But I also fear, and I'm almost going against what I just said, when we rely on the AI for our documentation, is that true trustworthiness and that true trust there still? So it's something you're going to have to measure and figure out, is that trust still there?
How can we leverage AI to expedite PMO maturity? Anything else you'd like to add to this?
I think we can leverage AI to expedite PMO maturity, but you're going to have to monitor this, because I think this is going to change, and I think it's going to change really, really fast. And I think I'm going to give the advice versus answering this. Try to keep up with the changes that AI is implementing or instituting. And I think this is going to fall into place as you start to do your PMO maturity and measure your maturity models within your PMOs.
And I think the PMO maturity model, assessment model we are using or going to use can expedite a lot of things, and interpretation, numbers, giving the gap and getting the gap analysis and giving suggestion much faster. Next time I will have another professional coming with a lot of experience in cybersecurity and risk and all those things. So you're going to learn different point of view. So just keep an eye on the announcements. But if you are looking for any training, certification, anything I can help you with, please take a picture of this or reach out to me. And you can actually use this scan code for booking my time. Allow me a couple of days to get this ready to be published. You will receive an email with the PDF code. You don't have to reach out to me, but if you are watching this as a video, yes, you have to reach out and let us know that we watched the video, and you have to give some pointers so I know that you really watched that video. And we'll be happy to give you the PDF code, and we'd love to see that you learn something out of this and gain some PDUs, and you maintain your certifications and those things. Okay, I love to see you in my class, of course, and thank you all, everybody joining this discussion. I appreciate your contribution in the